Yeah.
All right, so we'll start the Budget and Finance meeting of November 1st, 2021, 6 p.m. It's like we're joined by our Finance Director, Mr. Salmonte, and Nate from FinCom too. That's awesome, Nate. Maybe you have the wrong meeting because it's 7 o'clock. But Dennis, since we're waiting for Sean, I'm wondering if you'd be okay to jump down to the budget resolution to start discussing that since
Sure. I'll move to go to legislation for budget resolution. We're gonna just put off the charrette anyway, right?
Yeah, but we'll wait till Sean comes in. But I thought we'd start with the discussion. So if you wouldn't mind, Dennis, maybe Tony has some thoughts about this, because what we started out with was literally the final version of last year. And so I didn't make any attempt to change it. I thought that, based on discussions here, based on advice from Tony, based on other desires, we might have some amendments, but I didn't attempt to change it from last year except for the dates.
I just ask one question, and it's just an observation. If you want to take a look at this, the section of the home rule charter that you reference, and this has been on here, 6-1. The only thing 6-1 talks about is a joint meeting with the school committee, the finance committee, and the council to develop or to begin the budget process. I mean, I read 6.1, I'm like, that doesn't really fit into this. I don't know, maybe I'm reading something, and I mean, you're referencing something, which is fine, but I don't know. If you look at 6.1, I think you'd even agree that it really doesn't fit into the language of this. Just take a look at it, Bill. It's just an observation.
Yeah. Well, that may have been language that I adopted from elsewhere.
Oh.
So
you want Tony to talk?
We can take a look at it, but Tony, do you have any thoughts on the resolution for this year?
Yeah, I looked at it before the meeting, and I think it's in a good state overall. Clearly, the town manager will take a peek at the 2023 goals to see if there's any changes on that. There's I think it missed a particular date on 2A. I think regarding unreserved fund balance, I think the timing dates of that might need to be looked at, but that's semantics. Overall, I think last year we made the attempt to, and I guess I would underscore it, under 4, maintenance of capital assets, and also really the objective to achieve a targeted surplus. So let me start with the targeted surplus. We're working so closely now with the school, and a big change occurred last year is that they removed capital items from their operating budget, which allows us to more clearly see what they need to provide the day-to-day services. We have also provided them with $500,000 roughly in May, and we'll be providing them with another distribution in the November order for their capital. So what does that mean? It means that this targeted surplus is even more crucial, because what we're saying is we have expenses outside of the daily operation that we want to pay for. And the major funding source, as you saw in the transfer from free cash of over $3 million, a major funding source for capital is going to come here if there's no debt involved. And so I just would want to highlight that has become a practice, and we've even brought the school into that practice, and they have adopted that. So to have a surplus at the end of the year is in fact very, very critical. So that's been the strategy of the town manager and I to make sure that whatever in the operating budget really is what needed to deliver the day-to-day services. And then because we want to be conservative and we have a large pay-as-you-go cash-based capital expenditure each year, we want to have the surplus so that we're really dealing with real money at the end of the fiscal year. And therefore we can then set priorities appropriately. So last year we moved that down from 1.75 to 1.5. Our number came in last year for COVID reasons at a much higher number, clearly. But I would not want to see that erode. If anything, I'd like it to be pushed back up. And I think when you see the capital plan, the improvement plan that you get put in front of you come February prior to the budget being submitted, you'll see the demands that the school has, and you'll see that the demands that the town has. So that's really, I think, important to highlight, and that's what I'm attempting to do here. Other than that, I think the structure of the document is good. It hits all the points. I think I need to, for some reason, I see Exhibit B, but I don't have my Exhibit B from last year. That's supported under number 4, so I'll have to go back to my my records to make sure something was submitted. Other than that, those are the only comments I have at this time.
Okay. So I know that, the perception is that we had a large free cash this year. Do you foresee, it's hard, I know we're like 15 months out, right? So, but given a somewhat return to normal operations, with the excise taxes and meals taxes, etc. I guess we want to fight off the criticism that we have too much free cash, but try to target the 1.5 or 1.75 or whatever the number seems to be.
Yeah, I think what's important is what else do we, and I know we can say there was a spike this year, and I could walk you through it and justify it, and sometimes, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. But in fact, it's all justifiable because we were budgeting so conservatively and we couldn't hire. Those are the major drivers.
Okay.
We're still experiencing hiring issues. Okay, so we could end up with a surplus on the budgetary expense side this year, higher than we normally would, because we're having difficulty filling positions. So we could see more than I don't anticipate any number close to last year. We had $1 million in surplus on the expense side. That we're not going to be close to that. All right. On the local receipt side, we had, let's say, $1 million in motor vehicle excise. The problem with me forecasting that is, and I'm going to put together some projections based on the lack of inventory for vehicles and the individuals that particularly lease vehicles and flip them to new leases. We don't know what impact that's going to have come our January billing, which is our large commitment for the year. So last year that was $2.8 million. There's no way that's going to be a $2.8 million number. We're not going to get there. Now the question becomes, how much less will that number be? And I will run some what if scenarios about those lease vehicles, but let's say we're 10 to 15% below that. Well, that takes $400,000 right off the top of what would normally flow to free cash at the end of the year, because the only revenue stream that we can be conservative on in order to predict some level of free cash are our local receipts. Our taxes are our taxes, our state revenues are state revenue. Transfers are our transfers. It's only that bucket. So I don't see us being anywhere close to that number next time. I'm thinking it's going to be more in the line of the 1.5. I hope it's more than that. But again, it all depends on how much is driven by surplus on the expense side. I don't see us having the windfall on the revenue side. To specific, meals tax is back on target. Matter of fact, the first quarter was up about $10,000. You'll be getting your reports tomorrow for the first quarter results. The room tax isn't back to pre-pandemic levels, but it's very close. So that's good. And those are, related to, the spending of those in town, particularly for travel, if they come to the facility out there by the NIP, or in fact, go out to dinner or fast food. It's the motor vehicle one is the only one that I'm concerned about. But the other ones have gone back to close to pre-pandemic levels.
Hey, Sean, I see your picture. Are you on board now?
I am, I'm here.
All right. We skipped by everything. We just jumped into the conversation about the resolution, figuring that it'd take some time. So Dennis, last year, you had, I think it was last year, you had some concerns about the percentage set aside. Do you have any concerns with the 1.5 at this point?
Yes. Yes. And here's my issue. I mean, now I want to do a little math in my head. The number, when you say operating budget, that's, I believe it's 60 million, right? Our operating budget is $60 million, 64. It would, the budget for fiscal 21 is 61,029,000. That's what we budgeted. That's what we budgeted.
That's correct.
So if you take 1.5% of that, it's not even $1 million.
That's right.
It's not even $1 million. So that number means nothing to me. What I fight to keep this low is I don't want the town manager to say, well, I can't budget for this because of the stringent guidelines that the council voted on as far as making sure we have so much free cash. I want the town manager to put together a budget where he can really put things in there that we need. And I think that he's probably been a little bit hampered by having to do that because of some of these restrictions and the conservative approach of revenue forecasting. So, and I know there's always a need on the highway department. We know that there's needs there with people and things like that. So that's all I want to say. So, I mean, as of, we collected over $1.2 million in excess motor vehicle excise from what was budgeted
Last year.
Yeah. So we budgeted 2.68 million and we took in almost 4 million just in motor vehicle excise tax. So I certainly agree. I don't think, and Tony will put the number in, but I don't think we need to lower the 2.68 million.
No. If you look at the FY22 number, what do you have in front of you? I don't have the document up in front of you. In front of me. What did we use for a budgeted revenue for FY22?
I think it was the same amount. I think it's the same amount. I don't have that in front of me. I have year end.
1 second. Let's see if I can pull it up. I just want to make sure we're speaking of.
I think we level funded. I don't think we increased it or decreased it. But I mean, you're right, that 3.9 million, is that going to come in again? Probably not. I agree with that. But maybe there's more cars that'll make up for the new cars that aren't being sold. I don't know, but just that's why I say, if you reduce that to 1%, 1.0, Bill, it's only 300 grand difference. It's not, I don't want to hear.
We used $3 million in FY '22. Almost 3,000,001 is our budget.
Okay, so you did increase it by
Yes,
about 400,000.
yes, I did. And I increased the meals tax and I increased the room tax.
Yeah.
And, so that's important that we know that. So I do get your point. I know I can speak with the town manager on this. We never want to come back looking for additional money. We've worked with the school in order to pull out what ostensibly, what has historically been them budgeting in capital so that we can pay for that outside of the operating budget. We will have distributed to them with the May and the November, December order $1 million. And so there is a plan that we use that for in order to take care of real critical maintenance items, which you would call capital outlay because they're going to extend the useful life of the assets. We're helping them replace boilers, AC units. I mean, they replaced their football field as a result of part of our contribution. They have tennis courts. There's a yeoman's list of things. So we're balancing that as well as what we need to use to fund the operating budget.
Yeah, but I mean, there may be some, you can't do everything in 1 year. I mean, some of these things may have to be over a 2 or 3 year period, I would think.
I concur, but the list, when you look at the list, I think you'll put that in the context of what we have for resources.
I'm sure. I mean, there's a lot of things in the town too, and the schools certainly need it. But I don't know, Bill. I mean, the number, it just, I've heard during the budget process that, a higher number hampers potentially the ability of the town manager to really put together a budget that he wants to, because he has to be cognizant of that, of making sure that.
I don't, Dennis, if I may, I don't believe that that's his mindset. I think his mindset is we put together a budget and he puts together a budget that he feels is sustainable. Now,
we need to make progress too. I mean, in times of.
And we have.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying we haven't. I think we need to continue to make progress. And you're right. This last year end was an anomaly with all that extra free cash. But when was the last time we've had less than $1 million in free cash?
I don't think we can afford to have less than $1 million in free cash. And I think that's the town manager's position. I think the council may take issue with that, but I think we both stand together on that. The capital needs that come up from, I mean, Flag Street was $500,000 we had to put away. There's a mobile station that there's talk that you may want to purchase. There's 400,000. I mean, we can spend money very quickly, and I have to be aware of where this bus and train is heading. So again, I think you guys will make your decision on what you need to do, but I think Michael and I are both speaking of the same voice.
But I think whether it's 1%, 1.5%, or even 2%, I think the free cash will always come in above that number. I just, so anyway,
So Sean, go ahead. You speak first. I have a thought.
So a couple things, Tony. First, I don't know if I've said this to you and to your team, but first and foremost, you guys did an excellent job with the district. To have someone on the school committee come to me and say, "What do you mean it's all set?" without the gloves coming off and really, making it adversarial. It was probably the smoothest on the budget side for the district that we've ever seen. And I think it also taught our Rainham partners that we don't underfund education. We fit within the confines of what we can afford.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully our Rainham partners have learned that there are certain factors that they have to take into consideration because they did not have the financial resources that they had last year.
Mhm.
So hopefully we're not going to come back to a situation where their financial picture is improved dramatically. And in turn, we get back to we underfund, which we don't.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna give you all the credit in the world for that, your team. And if I haven't said that from that perspective, but I'm gonna agree with Dennis in this regard. In a couple aspects, we are gonna have some growth needs within our personnel. As we have seen and what we're going to see, not only are we going to see retirements and you've got attrition where you can fund from certain sources that you currently have,
Mhm.
but the growth of our town, which
Mhm.
is pretty evident that we have to restructure our government because of the exponential growth of our town, is also going to create the need to sustain growth within our certain personnel, public safety being one,
understand.
roads and things of
Yep.
that nature. So
Sure. Yep.
for Dennis's point,
Yep.
what we want to hear is, well, we can't find good quality candidates. I don't want to hear this, but instead of saying we can't afford good quality candidates, because then what we're doing is we're being a penny wise, pound foolish.
Oh,
So
I'm with you, Dennis.
Right.
on that. Yes.
so I think from my perspective as well, understanding that we do have to generate sufficient free
Mhm.
cash, even
Mhm.
though, from a budgeting perspective, maybe we get a little bit better in regards to budgeting for capital needs. But that being said,
Yep.
I still firmly believe that we can bring down that number
Mhm.
to a acceptable amount that may not make everyone happy, but it also establishes that recurring revenue stream that we do have the ability to go out and make those additions without, getting to a point where, as you say, you don't want to dip into things that we're not supposed to. So, or we
Mhm.
shouldn't. I shouldn't say not supposed to, but it is a back and forth bogey number in regards to the percentage
Agreed.
itself.
Agreed.
I would, I'd be comfortable with lower what that number is. We'll see what we get to either in our committee or at the council level.
Mhm.
But that, to me, it's around not just 2022, but
Yes.
I know you guys look forward 2025, 2026, 2027, and really get into that so that it's not the town manager trying to fit within a budget that he feels is right. It's the town manager fitting into a budget that the town council believes that we can support.
Right.
And I think that's where the discussion really comes into play
Yep.
around what that number is,
Yep.
understanding your projections and understanding, your philosophy and things like that. That's my approach to this.
Thank you, Dennis. I really appreciate that. Makes sense. I mean,
So,
John.
John.
No, don't give Dennis all the good ideas. All right.
John.
Every once in a while, I come up with one or two.
So,
And
so one,
then Bill tries to steal them, but that's okay. I'm ready to.
I
I
can't-
apologize for that. Missed
So,
that.
and hopefully Nate's listening. So one of the things that I'd like to see us develop, and it's too late for this cycle, but target zones of the capital budget buckets, just like we've said for the general stabilization, which is sitting at about 10%, right? So when we say general stabilization at 10%, and we've used stabilization for something, whatever that is, then we know what the target is for a dollar amount, not just a percentage. And what I'd like to see, FinCom and the finance department, and even with or without us, develop is a rationalization around what those numbers should be to support a sustainable thing. Like, we know there's going to be road repairs. We know there's going to be leases. We know there's going to be school needs in the capital plan, and it's going to be a certain level each and every year. And what I'd like to see us do is create the policy that says, okay, and I forgot what the general capital stabilization account is called, but general capitalization, stabilization should be at some mark, let's say $5 million or $4 million, and then the rest fall, relative to that too.
So what I will say was we didn't, because of last year being what it was, those schedules were placed inside the capital improvement program. We never got to a discussion point. I think this year, given the way things are, that will be out sooner and we can go through that because that's exactly what I attempted to begin to do last year is what you need. If you come to some general consensus that replacing of a boiler a year from now in the school is needed, and that's going to be, and they need 2 of them, and that's going to be 160,000. And we have some lease payments. And if we stack these all up, then you say, what do we need from a cash basis to fund our capital stabilization or our capital plan? And then we can look at some of the other broader things is maybe we need to borrow $1 million to take care of X, Y, and Z. That would include the school, and it would be a general obligation bond. So we will this year, again, I did it last year. We didn't analyze it together collectively. But this coming year, we will absolutely do that. And I think it's in line with what you're talking about, Bill.
Of course, this is a resolution, just like the rest have been. So we could set it at 1.5 or 1.25. I'd be interested to hear what FinCom has to say. And of course, they were supposed to meet before us, but it's too late now.
They're meeting this evening.
Yeah, they're meeting in about a half hour. But the thing is that, right now it's just a dart, really. We know from past experience, we know that in the past we had to have an extremely conservative budget to build up a general stabilization account and to get to the point that we're, able to get free cash at all. So I think that if we could pull together a policy on capital planning, then the number becomes more a plug value than an absolute, right?
And the other thing I'd like to add is that we have some significant retirements coming up, and that's one of the reasons we moved a large amount into the sick leave buyback fund from the free cash. We have about $1 million worth of liability over the next 3 to 5 years. And that's why we put some money in there. So I think that, along with what you're referring to, I think would be the final pieces, like you say, so that we can look at it more as a plug than it is a swag.
It would be a nice goal too, Bill and Tony and Sean, is that if there's ever a way when we build the fiscal year budget, is that we include in the fiscal year budget a capital budget at the same time. Instead of, having it done later as a budget order, that would be a real, therefore at that point, you have 2.5 million of capital needs. You use the stabilization fund to balance that piece of the budget. So it kind of takes the pressure off, if you will, of, whatever comes in free cash comes in as free cash. But that would be a goal to get to, I think.
I'm on board and I accept the challenge. I think we can get there. I think that's a real thoughtful way of looking at this.
Yeah, because I've always approached the capital stabilization, right or wrong, as should be for unforeseen capital needs, right? Versus, in the upcoming fiscal year, these are the capital needs that we have, and this is the money that we have to put into the budget. So to Dennis's point, I think he already made it, I don't have to reaffirm it, is I would only want to see us go into stabilization for those unforeseen things. The boiler blows, a truck goes kaput, things like that, versus we know you've got to replace some machinery, we've got upgrades here, and that does, to Dennis's point, bring down, I think, for us in future budget and finance committees to have to generate so much excess cash in order to, part of it be, going into capital needs. I know we've got other things with OPEB and things like that, but at least that would be one chunk that you wouldn't have to worry about funding from free cash.
Yeah, so if I heard, to summarize, because I think you're saying the same thing, but slightly different. So please forgive me if I misstate this. Dennis was kind of saying, look, we know that we go to put the budget out there, we should also be putting our capital budget out there at the same time. And then in his mind's eye, he says, whatever's free cash is free cash. Some of it would go into that capital stabilization fund for things that Dennis is describing, but a chunk of that would just flow into as the funding source to that year's capital, those year's capital item. Is that
you
what
would
you're saying, Dennis?
I think so. I think you could grade, I mean, obviously, you're always gonna have more requests than money, obviously.
Yeah.
And that's just normal. But you prioritize. You say, okay, this year we'll do, you think you do have reports
Yes.
saying, this is like my dog park is like, oh, where is it now? 2030? But
Yes, good
I mean,
example.
you set your priorities and say, okay, these are the things we really need to do this year.
Yeah.
Let's budget for those because we can afford that.
Mhm.
But to Sean's point is right. You might have a truck that goes down or a roof gets really damaged, and you might need to do a special order, for unforeseen things to take a little bit more money out of there to get that emergency taken care of. That's
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you.
So, as I said, I really wish that the FinCom had met ahead of time and had a discussion about this number too. Hopefully they will at 7 o'clock.
They can watch our video.
Yeah. Can we leave it as is for tonight, or do
Yeah,
you?
what's your time frame, Bill, that you want to get this back to the council for a vote, though? What's your goal here? I mean, I can't believe we're in November already, but
Josh, is it on? It's not on tomorrow night's budget. I miss it.
I don't think I saw it. no.
I didn't see it, no.
Okay.
I can look right
Double
now.
check for you.
Yeah, I think if you had it by the next meeting, that would, and both parties were able to go through this discussion, and maybe you can have a joint meeting to finalize it. That's what you did last time. That would really, I think, be soon enough from my perspective.
Okay.
I don't know if it's from yours.
I'm happy with that.
So we meet the 15th or the 23rd? Yeah, we meet the 15th. The next meeting of the council is the 15th after tomorrow night.
Okay.
And then we have a 3-week break. Then we have a 3-week break, I believe. So if we can get it done by the 15th, I guess so you want to get it sooner than later then, Bill, right? Yeah.
Yeah, only if the cycle starts, right? So the finance department already has published their calendar of what they need to get done. So I think it was by the first meeting in December for the resolution, or
That's correct.
yeah.
I think that's what we're shooting for. Yep.
Right. So if we can close this up by next meeting.
Yeah, because there's a lot of, I think there's a few items on the agenda tomorrow night that are gonna come to us.
So why don't we just plan to meet before the next meeting and carry this until then? Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, is it on the finance committee's agenda to discuss tonight as well, or are they ahead of us in voting? Are they ahead of us in voting for things?
It is on the agenda tonight.
Oh, okay.
And I think that we targeted 11:24 for a joint meeting. So that
I see, okay.
the town council could take it up on 12/7.
All right. 11/24 is
Wednesday,
Wednesday. Okay.
the day before Thanksgiving.
Oh,
Really?
that is the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we may want to have that meeting a little earlier than normal.
I'm gonna blame that on Tony.
It was just-
Oh, no,
the
that was a
later-
draft. You can shift it, please.
The later,
December 1st.
the night before Thanksgiving goes, the more ornery I may get. You don't want to see that.
Well, you know what, we'll discuss a date, and I'll reach out
Okay.
to Councilor Wood, right? You're
Yeah.
the head of this committee, and we can do a date
Yeah.
together.
And if you can do it before the next council meeting,
Which is
Great.
when? Which, is that the 17th?
It'll be the 15th. We have
Yeah.
a meeting tomorrow, and then the 15th will be the next one.
Will be the next one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, let's shoot for that, gentlemen.
Maybe we can have a joint meeting on the 15th,
Yeah.
great.
the night before the council meeting. The council meets the 16th.
That was the 15th, no?
15th
No,
's a
actually, it'd be the
Monday.
16th. You're right. You're right.
So that's perfect. We'll change that on the calendar.
I just changed my calendar before we started. I'm not looking at October, I'm looking
Well,
at
I'm glad I
November.
didn't share this with the rest of the finance committee yet. Okay.
All right, let me see, November 1st.
All right, so we'll push this out until that meeting then.
Potentially the 15th?
Yeah.
Or did you want to meet the night of our council meeting? I don't know, you set it up, I don't care.
Do it the day before, the night of the council
Yeah,
meeting.
if-
Too tight.
If we can do it the day before and if FinCom can meet with us, then
Yeah.
let's do that. Yeah.
Okay, and I'll bring it up to the committee tonight.
All right. All right, should we make that an official motion to postpone until the 15th?
Yep.
So moved.
Second,
All right. I guess we have to do roll call still. So Dennis, yes.
yes.
Yes, Sean,
Yeah, yes.
and me, yes. 3-0 to postpone until potentially the 15th. All right. All right, back on track then, gentlemen. Thanks, that was great. Okay, so minutes of the 19th.
Motion to approve?
Second,
All right, any discussion?
Nope.
All right. Sean, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dennis?
yes.
Okay, and I'm a yes to approve. And then the order 10 there, the transfer order for the charrette, do we want to postpone that again or take? any
Yeah,
action?
motion to postpone to the next meeting.
Second,
Just before we have the vote, Bill, I just say, if Michael truly does want to go forward with this, I'd like a more in-depth budget of what this 55,000 is going to represent. The reason I say that is we just had another workshop via Zoom. I don't think it cost us really anything. So, if we're gonna have these charrettes, let's look at using available technology and keeping 55,000 back in the budget.
Sure, yeah, all right. Sounds good, all right. And on to, all right, we still need to vote, so Sean,
Yes,
Dennis,
yes.
and I'm a yes to postpone to the next meeting. All right, on to 16, which is the capital appropriation for the Memorial Building project.
okay, you took 2 out. Sorry, I was following. Motion to approve?
I'll second that.
All right, is there any discussion on this?
I think he explained at the council meeting that, this is in construction cost and the delay and everything this is just the additional cost to it, so. We've been planning this for many, many years. We might as well just get it done.
All right.
And Tony, the sources are specific towards what funds are gonna be used for specific things, like sewer upgrade for the building comes out of sewer, water upgrade comes out of the water, and then anything else falls into capital stabilization. Is that how it's being allocated?
Well, no, we're allocating it based on, we're looking at who's going to be housed in that operation as well.
Oh,
So
okay, all right,
there's many variables, but housing, sewer employees, administration and water
Okay.
administration, so forth. Okay,
yep, thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, so that was, I'm sorry, was that Dennis? Were you first to make a motion to?
Yeah. No, Sean
Guys,
was,
No, I was,
I don't
Dennis
know.
seconded.
Alright.
yes.
Any other discussion? No, seeing none. Sean,
Yes,
Dennis,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, 3-0 to recommend approval. All right. This next year. Scrolling around the 17 transfer order for the Old Scotland pump.
What are they pumping? Water?
It's a vertical pump for their irrigation system. It's as old Scotland Links, and that's to take care of the purchase and installation of that.
And that's within their enterprise accounts.
Yes, we're taking it from their retained earnings correct.
Tony, do you know off the top of your head, after this transfer, what the amount will be in retained earnings?
414,000 is the number less the order.
Okay.
Great when the senior debt retires, isn't it?
What's that?
It's great when the senior debt retires, isn't it? Debt on
Yeah.
land.
Yeah, now we can just get back the IOUs. But anyway,
I move to approve the transfer order.
I'll second it.
I have one question under discussion. So is this a different pump than what we did a few years ago?
Yes, this is the main, think about it. They have a horizontal and vertical pump. The horizontal, and what did I say? This is the vertical? Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is the complete replacement of that. There might have been some repairs and maintenance done that I'm not recollecting, but this is in fact the full replacement.
Okay, all right. All right, any other discussion or we'll just vote? Dennis?
Nope. Oh, yes, but am I voting? Oh, no more.
Is there any more discussion? No more
No.
discussion?
no,
No
All
discussion.
right, Dennis,
Yes.
Sean,
yes,
I'm a yes to recommend for approval. All right, on to 18, which is the Plymouth American Rescue Plan Act votes.
motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope,
Nope.
you just need a lot of money, so
Yep,
go get Michael to get it for us.
Need ARPA.
we'll get it.
I'm sorry, was that Dennis first? Motion.
No, it was me.
Sean.
Sorry. And Josh does great notes. I'm just providing backup scribbles in case we need it. All right, any other discussion? No? All right, Sean, how do you vote?
Yeah, yes,
Dennis?
Yes.
I'm a yes to recommend for approval.
Yeah.
We done? Let's see.
nope, we get public.
Oh, yeah, okay. Any public comment? Hey, you're public, you can comment.
No, thank you. I need my secretary.
All right,
Motion to adjourn.
I'll move second to adjourn.
all right. No discussions to Sean,
Yes,
Dennis,
Yes.
I'm a yes. We're adjourned.
See you tomorrow night.
all right, see you tomorrow
All right.
night, everyone.
Thanks,
Good night.
everybody. Bye.
All right.